now the proposed 010 budget. The expenditure side has been prepared, but unlike last year, I'm not going to fall for the old, give me the expenditures, and then the word gets out, we have a 90% tax increase. I'm not going to do that again. I will prepare the entire budget. I will prepare the entire budget when I have all of the information. Now, let's get back to the capital projects discussion here before we get into the 010 discussion. Let's get into the capital projects.
Well, the entire budget would give you a feel for what the impact of this bonding will be.
Absolutely.
All right.
So let's get to, you know, this is discussion. In my opinion, this discussion should have happened a long time ago. I'm caught as much by surprise about this. So this is the discussion between the Comptroller's Office and the City Council. So let's have that discussion, and then we get into anything else.
I'm caught by surprise at this last moment that you're asking for revenues when you've made had a vote.
Mr. Mayor, one of the things that needs to be made clear, and the public needs to understand, if my memory, and members of the Capital Projects Committee can tell me if I'm wrong, was the controller invited to every capital projects meeting?
Yes. She sits as an ex officio member.
Okay.
We were invited to most meetings.
You sit as an ex officio
We
member.
were invited to most
Yes.
meetings.
By ex officio, she means that you're already a member and that you don't
The
need a
question
formal
asked
invitation.
is,
That's number
was
one.
she invited to
Oh.
the meetings? You're
That's
invited to a
number one.
meeting when you know when a meeting is being held. Okay?
If I'm a member of a board, I don't need an invitation. If a meeting is scheduled, I either show up
You
or
need to know when the meetings are being held.
Well, I have a hard time believing that you didn't know when the meetings were held.
Now, the
That's
last
num- that's
meeting that
number
was
one.
held.
Number two, last week when we met twice, 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting on Tuesday morning at 7:30 at which you appeared. It was then indicated that there would be a follow-up meeting on Thursday morning at 7:30. Everyone knew of that meeting. Then Mr. Williams gets an email from you, from your office, at 5 o'clock on Wednesday the 4th. Wednesday, the day before the Thursday morning meeting, stating that neither of you could attend that meeting. Now,
You know why?
We told you at
You
the
know why?
meeting on Monday the 5th,
No,
that
you
we
didn't.
would not
You
be
didn't.
there on Thursday because we had
no, you didn't say that.
We
You
had a
didn't say that.
conference on Thursday for the record.
Well, my
We
understanding,
had a conference on
my
Thursday.
understanding in terms of organizations that have deputies, when two people can't be in the same place, they send their deputy. Their deputy could come. That's the function of a deputy.
We both went to the conference.
I understand
We
you
both
both
paid
went
for
to the
conference.
conference, but one of,
You know what?
you have one of the largest staffs.
This, what are you talking about?
One of the largest staffs in this city.
Even to this point, you can't count. I mean, come on. I have all the
Okay,
largest
let's keep
staff.
the
Let's get out of this meeting. If you want to go to it, go to it.
let's keep
get
the
on to the
discussion
meeting.
about okay, it is.
Don't make sense.
Is your recommendation, Mr. Council President, that we postpone this agenda until next Tuesday? Is that your recommendation?
I'm willing to make that recommendation if I can get a promise from the controller that,
Okay, just a second. We're having too many discussions
if
now.
I can get a commitment from the controller that she will meet with the council members, I would go ahead with postponing the vote. If I can't get that commitment, then that's a different story.
I'm not getting any commitment like that from me. Any promise. I can make promises in advance.
I'm not asking you to make a promise in
You
advance.
just said if I can get a promise.
I said,
If I can get a commitment.
if I can get a commitment that you are willing, and please, everyone in this room, listen to this. These are two different entities of the government. These are two entities within government. And one branch of the government is asking another, can I get a commitment from you to meet with the council to provide the most up-to-date estimated revenue streams coming into the city that she can provide. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking for that simple commitment for a meeting to be scheduled between now and next Tuesday, preferably this week, for the controller to meet with the council and provide them with fundamental revenue information based upon what is available. That's all we're asking for. And I want to say, if branches of government can't even communicate with one another, what does that say? Here we are asking the controller to do that, which is part of her duty as an elected official.
How many times have I not asked the council to do certain things and they refuse to do it?
Just like,
May I just remind you
may I remind you, how many times have we asked you for things and
you guys don't
refuse to do?
you guys don't work with me either. Okay, you just don't work with me either. May I remind you of the proposal that we had, or the piece of legislation that we asked you to put on the agenda last week? And because it came from the controller's office, it was, leave it alone, we're not going to put it on. It's not true, please. Leave it alone, we're not going to put it on, okay? From your council people. Anytime something comes from the controller's office, for you to vote on, or for any of your council people to vote on, it's like, oh, from the controller's office, let us hold it. Time and time and time again. In the interest of the city, I will give you the revenues. Let me see whether you'll make an intelligent decision based on the revenue estimates I'll give you as to whether you will pare down this bond. Okay? I am not against the city going out for bonding. I am totally against the fact that this is a bond that is way over our heads, $21 million. All right? Way above our heads at this point in time, in this crisis in the city. Let me see whether, when I give you the revenues, whether you have the guts and the commitment of the people of the city to look back at this bond that you have passed and say, you know what, perhaps we should not burden the people of this city with such bonding.
All right. Madam Controller, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand that we end up spending additional monies because of fire equipment and DPW equipment that breaks down. And subsequently, because of that, people have to be paid overtime. This goes on and on and on. And then the people in this room don't get their streets cleaned, don't get the snow removed, don't get sewers repaired because of a lack of equipment. And when that happens, there still has to be, when the machines break down, you have to pay overtime. That's it. And the same thing with the fire department. This city is perceived as a joke because we have a public safety. Ms. Edwards?
Yes,
Please,
sir.
some decorum.
I think I
Because,
have a little more than you. Excuse me.
I doubt it.
appreciate that.
Miss, because of the mutual aid situation, we have to be careful of it. We have to preserve the safety of our public safety personnel. And also, when any of your houses are on fire,
Really?
Okay.
and that does happen, you want the best there, you want the best equipment, so forth and so on. That's why we need to look at this in a comprehensive way. And I know many of you, you come to city council meetings, you make it very clear, you're unhappy, the streets aren't paved, the potholes aren't filled, you have sewer backups, you want trees trimmed, you want sidewalks repaired, and the list goes on and on and on.